Unless you're talking about the bridge and seaport. Even from the seats in the upper decks, you can see the seashore. Tailgate function with the carne asada. Just walk from the tribal building for the Padres, I'm on it. Yeah, cause for the 619, we'll knock you down. Anything for the Brown, put it on the town. Started back rocking the Brown. Ever since we've been knocking them down. Baby said she wanna go to the game. Taught her how to say Padre gang.
Good day, everybody. Welcome to the Talking Friars pregame show for October 8th. We're not in August. October 8th, 2022. Padres and the Mets, game 2 of the wild card series tonight at Citi Field for all the marbles. I mean, for the Mets, I mean, they're facing elimination tonight. 4:37 is the first pitch Pacific time. Got Max Scherzer already beat him. And now we got Jacob deGrom on the mound for the Mets, Blake Snell on the mound for the Padres. Looks like it's going to be another fun one. I'm very, very pumped up for this game. And I don't know. For me, like, I'm pumped up about it, but I'm also kind of reserved. Like, I'm excited, but I'm not nervous. Like the Padres, they don't have to win tonight, if that makes sense. I don't know how you guys are feeling. Let me know in the chat if you want to support the channel. You can use the super chat button. I appreciate your support. But yeah, let me know how you guys are feeling, what you think are the keys to this game. We got DeGrom, who's coming off not a great start against the Braves, kind of like Scherzer entering last night. He wasn't coming off a great start against the Braves. And on the other side of things, the Padres, we've got a very, very good starter going, or at least a guy that's been pitching well as of late. Blake Snell, as of late, he's been pitching tremendously well. His last start, 6 innings, 1 run against the White Sox, the day the Padres clinched a playoff spot last Sunday. Start before that, against the Dodgers, gave up no earned runs, 5 innings. Start before that, against the Cardinals, September 21st, went 7 innings, gave up no runs. The start before that, against Arizona, September 16th, 7 innings, 1 run. Last 4 starts, he's given up a combined 2 earned runs. That's his last 25 innings. Like, I'll take that. I'm very confident in Blake Snow going into tonight, and it's not a winner go home game. That's also another thing. That's why I'm kind of confident in Blake as well. Like, I know he has performed well in those games where that he has to perform. His back is against the wall, right? But for me, when the back isn't against the wall tonight, the Padres don't have to win. The back is against the wall for the Mets. I think that can allow Blake to be confident, can allow him to relax a little bit, and maybe he doesn't have that big blow up inning because he's not all stressed out about, oh man, I have to be perfect tonight for me to keep my offense in this game. You know, uh, he might have to be perfect with Degrom on the mound, but he has been dealing with those blister issues. Degrom has, so I don't know what to expect out of Degrom, to be honest. If you listen to New York sports talk radio, they're losing their minds. I was listening to WFAN this morning, just seeing what they were talking about and how they're going into this game, and they are panicked, obviously. You got some fans that are just talking about if they should keep DeGrom after this season. Like, it feels like some fans have moved on. They are totally not even thinking this team's going to win this series, and everything is hell for them right now. So, obviously, all the pressure is on the Mets, and Mets fans, they are not feeling great at all right now. Um, if you listen to them, they're probably going to say DeGrom needs to give 7, 8 great innings, and then you give it to Edwin Diaz. That's how, um, I don't know. They just don't. Here, I'll put it this way: they just don't have a whole lot of trust in Edwin Diaz, or excuse me, in anyone other than DeGrom and Diaz. Like, they trust Edwin Diaz a lot. But it is the postseason. Like, it's a new season. We saw with the Cardinals and Ryan Helsley yesterday. I'm sure Cardinals fans trusted him. Guy throws 103. Amazing. Lights out guy. Feels like he's been like that for a long time here in the second half of the season. And then he just collapsed last night or yesterday before the Padre game, that day game. against Philly. Couldn't throw strikes, hit by pitches with the bases loaded. So it is a new season. We saw Trent Grisham in the lineup yesterday, obviously. Um, they didn't have him in there for his bat, right? They have him in there for his power potential. The guy's hitting over under 200 for the season. And what does he do? He comes up with a huge home run, right? Josh Bell, he was struggling with the Padres. He comes up with a huge home run. So just because you're good in the regular season, that does not guarantee that you're going to perform come postseason time. And so I think that's going to be interesting with DeGrom. He's been pitching well or he pitched well this year, but not to his standards. The last 4 starts, he gave up at least 3 runs in all 4 of those starts. 6 innings, 3 runs against the Cubs. 5 innings, 3 runs against the Pirates. 4 innings, 5 runs against the A's. Those are 3 really bad teams that he didn't pitch great against. And then obviously that Atlanta start, 6 innings, 3 runs. So I have no idea what we're going to see from DeGrom tonight, but the ESPN broadcast is probably just going to forget about all those struggles that he's had and just ride him. But you can listen to 97.3 The Fan if you want to for that. Maybe put the TV on a little bit of a delay. For me, though, I can't really do that. I'm clipping highlights and posting them on Twitter and social media at Talking Friars. And also in my neighborhood, there's some people that will, and I'm fine with it. It's the Padres. They cheer really, really loudly when something happens. So if they know, it kind of gives it away. Like you have a neighbor cheering loudly when Grish homers or something. Oh well, you know that something has happened. Like you want to. It's just not as great. I don't think of an experience. Like I want to know about it in the moment, right? Um, but you can also listen to 97.3 The Fan if you want to. I know there's been a lot of complaints about the ESPN broadcast and all that, and I agree with those people. They can't even pronounce Buster Only can't pronounce Trent Grisham's name. He says Grissom. So yeah, it's not great. But Mets fans are also complaining about the ESPN broadcast. They're like, "Where's Gary, Keith, and Ron?" We're like, "Where's Don and Mud?" Um, yesterday the ESPN broadcast was calling Francisco Lindor the Mets' MVP. That's not true. It's probably Pete Alonso. He's the guy that has 40 home runs this year. So both sides don't really like the broadcast. But that's who's calling it again tonight. Carl Ravage, David Cohn, Eduardo Perez, Buster Only. 4:37 is the first pitch, or at least that's scheduled first pitch. Mets Padres game 2 of the wild card series. Snell against DeGrom. Already talked about Snell. He's been pitching really well. And if you watch the press conference that he had yesterday, I liked what I heard from him. They asked him about the 2020 World Series and him being pulled by Kevin Cash. And he was like, well, I don't really think about that. I'm just trying to move on, and I'm excited for this start so I can put that in the past. Because let's face it, well, yeah, it is. It's Snell's first postseason start since that 2020 World Series. Obviously, the Padres didn't make it last year in 2021. They collapsed. So this is what people have been talking about with Snell. They've been talking about Game 6 of the World Series against the Dodgers. And I assure you that it's going to come up during the broadcast tonight. It'll probably come up early in the broadcast. Hey, guys, let's flash back to the last time Snell pitched in a postseason game. I mean, I'm fine with it because he was amazing. And that's one of the best starts, maybe the best start that he's ever had in the major leagues. But I'm excited for Snell to move past that as well and hopefully have a great start tonight with the Padres. And if that type of situation happens here, I think Snell's probably staying in the game. Padres have a 1-0 series lead, and if Snell attacks that top of that Mets order, Bob Melvin, we know he's different than Kevin Cash and the Rays and their analytics and stuff. Like Bomel gets the numbers, but he has trust in the Padres players. Every player, he has trust in them, especially that starting rotation, the top 3. He's going to let them go if they're pitching well. So I don't know what to expect out of Blake either. I talked about earlier, I don't know what to expect out of DeGrom. It's the same thing with Blake just because I don't know what the Mets' approach is going to be off of Snell. Is Snell going to walk some guys? The pitch count be higher, so he only gets through like 5. Um, I don't see him giving up a bunch of home runs like Scherzer did yesterday. But I do look at the Mets lineup and, matchups against Snell, and you go through the Mets lineup, which is out, by the way. You got Nimmo leading off in center field. Marte had a great night last night. He's in right field batting second. Lindor's at shortstop batting third. Alonso's at first base batting fourth. Mark Canha is in left field. He's batting fifth. Jeff McNeil is at second base. He is batting sixth. Eduardo Escobar, he's at third base batting seventh. Darren Ruff is DHing batting eighth. I know Mets fans, they didn't even think that Darren Ruff should have been on the roster, but he does kind of kill the Padres. Tomas Nido is catching. He is batting ninth. And looking at their numbers individually against Snell, I was looking this up earlier today. Nimmo, he's hitting 333 off of him, 3 for 9. Starling Marte is 5 for 15, so also 333 off of Snell. He has a homer off of him, has a double off of him. Pete Alonso, Lindor doesn't have great numbers. I'm just trying to go through the guys that I remember looking up that have good numbers. 333 off of Snell, 3 for 9, has a double off of him. Jeff McNeil, small sample size, 2 for 5, but that's still 400 off him. I think Canha has good numbers off of Snell. He's 4 for 11 off of him, hitting 364. I assume that most of those numbers were when Canha was with the A's, and so he was facing them in the American League. And Snell has probably evolved into a different pitcher, hopefully a better one, at least postseason time. So I don't know how much you want to put stock into these numbers, but these are just the numbers. These are the facts. So I think obviously a question is how does he start? Like, does he start off fast and settle into the game? Can he limit the walks? Right, whenever he struggled, usually he's getting like 3 or 4 walks and just hurting himself that way through free passes. So that's what I would look at. And then the Padres lineup, you got Profar leading off in left field, Soto's in right field, Manny is at third base. And as I expected, as I talked about on the series reaction episode last night after the game, which you can check out here on YouTube or podcast platforms if you haven't checked that out yet. There's still, like 3 hours before the game here. But as I said on that episode, I thought that Bell and Drury would start today. Myers didn't do so great yesterday, and Drury, they won his bat in the lineup. Just yesterday, it was an easy decision to not have him in there because Myers and Bell, they had good numbers off of Scherzer, right? But with DeGrom here, Drury doesn't have any at bats off of him. Bell, he's 0 for 6 off of him, but he homered last night. He had a good night last night. So he's batting fourth, DHing. Crony's batting fifth. He's at second. He's 1 for 5 off of DeGrom. Drury's batting sixth. No at bats, as I said. Drury's playing first, by the way. Kim is at shortstop, batting seventh. He's 0 for 2 off of DeGrom in his career. Trent Grisham, no at bats off of DeGrom in his career. He's in center, and Nola's catching. He also has no at bats off of Jacob DeGrom in his career. So there's really 2 guys, I guess, that you could put stock into their experience against DeGrom, and that's Soto and Manny. Soto, again, 3 for 19, has a home run off of him, 3 walks, a double. Machado, 6 for 20, 300 average off of him, a walk. I'm going to go with Soto as my Padre pick tonight. I went with Manny last night, hit a bomb. So I like the role that I'm on here. 1 for 1 in the postseason so far. With Manny, yeah, for me, it's kind of looking at, or not Manny, Soto, excuse me. That's who I had my Padre pick as. It's not really looking at like the matchup. Maybe he does have some familiarity with Jacob DeGrom. But for me, it's kind of like, well, he didn't do a whole lot offensively last night. So now it's his time to step up. I think Crony's probably another guy that we could look at maybe having a good night, at least a hit there. So I'd look to see if Soto, Crony, guys that didn't have a big night last night, see if they can have their turn tonight, right? As for the Padres bullpen situation, I will get to your comments, guys. For the bullpen chart, it's out on Twitter at Talking Friars. Not a whole lot to talk about because Darvish pitched so well. I mean, both guys, Suarez and Garcia, they could be available today. If let's say the Padres have a lead, and they're more confident in Garcia in a particular matchup over Tim Hill or Morahone, then they can go to Garcia. 12 pitches yesterday. Robert Suarez, 7 pitches yesterday. And everyone else didn't throw, obviously. The Padres have a lead. Obviously, Hader's getting in the game. I think you could look for Nick Martinez to get in this game at some point. I think if the Padres are losing, I think Shamanaya is in this game at some point. Pierce Johnson is another one. Morahone, guys that can go, multiple innings if they need to. So yeah, that's the bullpen situation. Everyone's available today, I would think. Maybe you don't want to pitch Garcia and Suarez if you could avoid it, but Suarez had a 1-2-3 eighth inning, I think, and Garcia he pitched fine as well. So yeah, all hands on deck probably for the bullpen again tonight for the second night in a row. The good news is obviously the Padres they don't have all the pressure on them, right? Okay, getting to Matthew here. He says ESPN doesn't like the Padres. Well, yeah. I think every fan base thinks that ESPN doesn't like their fan base, but it's not like we're just saying this, right? They don't know how to pronounce some of the players' names on the Padres. Last night, they kept focusing on DeGrom and how are the Mets going to bounce back? It's like, give the Padres their moment. 21, or it wasn't 21. They had 31 experts vote for who they thought was going to win this series, and 27 of them said the Mets. I hope that they're proven wrong today. Squiggy818 says we need to come out swinging like yesterday. I agree there. I liked, capitalizing on the mistakes, right? Obviously, that's a clear thing, like a no duh thing by about every team against any postseason pitcher or any pitcher in general. But yeah, it does apply to the Padres here. DeGrom, he gave up some home runs against the Braves in his last start. Didn't look sharp with that blister issue. Pitches down the middle. So the Padres, they need to capitalize on that. Let's see. Black Sheep Stream says, after last night, I have 100% confidence the Padres can take this series. I do too. Yeah. Yeah, DeGrom's a tough test. He's a tough test today, but let's say the Padres, even if they lose today, look, I'm confident that they can win today's game anyway. Blake Snell's been pitching incredibly well. DeGrom has not been. And I like the Padres bullpen over the Mets. So I'm confident they can win today. But even if they don't win today, maybe you could say that the Mets have the momentum, going towards them because they won game 2. But do they really? I'd rather have Musgrove over Chris Bassett, and you would think that Edwin Diaz is probably going to go 3 outs at least tonight, or maybe even more than that. So their best reliever is going to be taxed going into tomorrow. Maybe Hader's not even used if there is a tomorrow. Or, today, let's say he's not used today, they have Hader tomorrow, right? So I think they have the edge regardless. I think they have the edge tonight, to be honest, and I think they have the edge tomorrow as well. Johnny says, get some good runs in early, and that will give the team the confidence to play harder each game. Well, no, I disagree about the team playing harder each game. The team's going to play hard every game, especially in a wild card series. Like the Padres, they don't want this to go to a game 3, obviously. They're not going to lay back and be like, no, we'll just give this one to DeGrom and get so we can have a game 3 tomorrow. They don't want a game 3. They want to end this and they can go enjoy, NFL Sunday tomorrow in LA and be like, okay, moving on to the NLDS, Padres Dodgers, and we got Musgrove on the mound game 1. That's what they want. So they're going to play hard regardless. But yeah, scoring runs early that gives that gives probably the starting pitcher a lot of confidence. It gives the team confidence in general that they can go win the game because they have that edge after getting runs early. So I agree with that, but they're going to play hard each game no matter what. It's the playoffs. This is what you live for. Mburn SD says, so amped for this game. Watching highlights from the 98 season could be something special again. I mean, yeah, I'm amped for this game. I don't want to get too far ahead, though, and start being like, oh, this could be like 98. I mean, I wasn't alive. That's something better for, like, my parents, but, the '98 team I know is a very, very special team, very, very talented team, and had pitching, and it had some offense, some firepower on that offense, and that's what this team does have. Um, as for this could be something special again, yeah, it could be, but the Padres have won 1 game. Like, they still have to win this series, and after they win the series, we can start talking more about that, but then they have the Dodgers in front of them, who they haven't been able to beat this year in a series at all. So, it's a tough road here. I don't wanna jump ahead of anything. We gotta definitely be focused on tonight. Go 1-0 every day. Daniel says, "I've never had more confidence in this team." I I mean, it's hard to argue with that. Yeah, the Padres, they had some really good stretches this year. They dropped like 15 runs on the Cubs, but that was the Cubs. The Padres, they just had the best performance they probably could have had last night and shut up City Field, just embarrassed Jacob DeGrom, scored 7 runs in the first like 5 innings. The starting pitching was great. Yu Darvish was amazing. The bullpen was good. I mean, the pitching staff gave up 1 run. Yeah, I have a ton of confidence in this team, and, I'm sure, Daniel, you're not the only one. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have never had more confidence in at least this year's team, because 'cause they're playing hot at the right time. I know it's been 1 postseason game, but that's the best that they probably could have played. And yeah, if you guys are just tuning in again, the Padres lineup is out. Profar's leading off in left. Soto's batting second. He's in right field. Manny's at third base, batting third. Josh Bell's DHing, batting fourth. Crony's at second. He's batting fifth. Brandon Drury's in there after not playing yesterday. He's batting sixth at first. And then the bottom 3 are the same as last night. Kim at short, Grish in center, and Nola is catching for Snell. He is batting ninth. Um, for the Mets, maybe you should be surprised that Francisco Alvarez, their rookie, isn't in there, as like the DH or something. At least from what I've heard from Mets fans, they've wanted Alvarez in there over Darren Ruff. They're not a big fan of Darren Ruff. But everything else in their lineup, that's pretty much as expected. They moved Marte up. I think he was hitting 6 last night. He's now hitting second after having a really good night last night. I think they were encouraged by what they saw from Marte. And so they're like, yeah, he can steal bases. He got a hit last night, at least one. So he's deserves to be up in that 2 hole if you're looking at it from a Mets perspective. So, and by the way, that lineup, Nimmo's in center, Marte's in right, Lindor's at short, Alonso's at first, Canna's in left, McNeil's at second, Escobar's at third, Ruff is DHing, and then Tomas Nido is catching, batting ninth. The Rays and the Guardians right now, they are in the 14th inning. No runs have been scored. Remember, there's no runner on second base in extra innings rule in the postseason. So both of these teams, they cannot score a run. They would love to have the runner on second right now, probably. Because let's say Cleveland loses that game, they're gonna have a taxed bullpen. Same with the Rays. So Cleveland better hope they win that game so they can get some rest. And then the Blue Jays, they're up 2-0 on the Mariners. Mariners got up early on the Blue Jays yesterday, so a little bit of a role reversal there today. Hopefully, Emma Stone is back at this Padres game tonight. She might have been their good luck charm. There were tons of pictures um, circulating social media of her and Dave McCary, her husband, who's from San Diego, at least from what I've looked up. They were sitting first row in their Padres starter jackets, and so that was really cool to see. DVD Pash asks, "Where's everyone watching the game today?" I'm at home. Um, I'm gonna be on the wrap-up show with Jim Russell after the game, so you can stay tuned for that over on their channel. And then I'll be back. I'll talk more about the game live after I do their show. So long night for me watching this game. reacting to this game for a couple hours. And yeah, that's that. I mean, this is the time for it. I mean, I absolutely love what I'm doing right now. Love talking with you fans. Uh, the Padres are in the postseason. Like, I haven't lived through this in my life. A full regular season. Padres make the postseason after that. In that season, I haven't been through that, and so I'm totally focused on the Padres. In this series, Padres Mets, and last night was a hell of a start to this postseason for the Padres, and hopefully there's only 2 games in this series, and the Padres can say they beat Scherzer and DeGrom, but we'll see. All right, Talking Friars pregame show, October 8th, 2022. Mets Padres, 4:37 first pitch on ESPN, 97.3 The Fan, your local radio. And I'll have the clips at Talking Friars on Twitter. That's it. See you guys later. Go Pods. Enjoy the game tonight.